Shri Satyanarayan, President IFA Galaxy, Shri Navneet Manod, Amphichair, Madam Usha Thurat, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank IFA Galaxy for extending the invitation to SEBI, and I stand before you to deliver this message on behalf of my Executive Director, Shri Manoj Kumar, who could not be with us, unfortunately due to his work exigencies. He has requested me to be here and convey my thoughts on mutual fund industry and specifically matters relating to distribution of mutual fund products. Mutual funds are regulated by many, and the credit goes to asset management companies and the distributors like many of you. Current AUM numbers, number of folios created in recent past is a testimony to the fact that mutual funds and you as a distributors are able to gain trust of large number of investors. Investing in market requires an understanding of market dynamics, asset allocation, and risk management. The average investors may not have the time, knowledge, or expertise to navigate this landscape. As distribution, and this is where the distributors like you comes in. As distributors, your role is challenging as you have to understand an investor's goal, risk tolerance, and time horizon. Whether someone is investing for retirement, education, or wealth creation, a distributor helps crafts a strategy based on individual needs. You have to take the time to match the investors with the right products, ensuring that their investments are aligned with their financial objectives. Many investors, especially beginners, may be unfamiliar with the intricacies of the mutual funds. As a distributor, you are responsible for educating investors about the mutual fund basics. It's the distributor's role to make the investor process more understandable and accessible, thereby helping more people to achieve their financial goals. With the rise of digital platforms, distributors also need to help guide investors through online portals and tools, ensuring that they are comfortable and confident while managing their investments. If we look at some of the numbers to see how the distributors have performed over the years in fulfilling the needs of investors, we note that as regard the unique number of investors, it has seen a significant rise in it. Unique number of investors has risen, like we have said, from 2 crore onwards, around about in March 2020, to around 4 crores plus, 4.68 to be precise, in June 2024. With the increased focus on financial literacy, digitalization, and online banking, usage of smartphones, and awareness about the mutual funds, more and more investors may be in a better position to leverage technology and invest in mutual funds. It is also significant to note that the growth in investors is a distributor-driven. If I see the numbers, there are 53% of the AUM of individual investor is brought in by the distributors from the top 30 cities through the regular plans. If I see the numbers from beyond 30 cities, there is 21% of the AUM of individual investor is brought in by the distributors. In total, that has meant that 74% of the individual investors' AUM is through distribution model of mutual funds, which signifies that the distributors have played a key role in mobilizing the investments in mutual funds from individual investors. MFDs are also instrumental in popularizing the SIPs as a disciplined, long-term investment tools for wealth creation. Data on as of 31st December 2024 highlights that the distributors have dominance in SIP. Regular plan actually holds around about 80% of the SIP AUM. The shares of the SIP AUM of more than 5 years is significantly higher in regular plans compared to the direct plans. SIP inflow grew from around about 4,000 odd crore in December 2026 to around about 26,000 plus crore in December 2024, a CAGR of over 26%, reflecting MFD's consistent promotion of this investment mode. These numbers are impressive, no doubt about it. But this is a matter of pride for all of us, but it also added a huge responsibility on our shoulders to ensure that we keep the trust intact. The trust, which Navneet Saab has already pointed it out, that it's a paramount importance for all of us. To maintain this trust, SEBI, we try to ensure that the mutual fund and by extension its distributors operate in a fair, transparent, and ethical manner. thereby safeguarding the interest of investors. The regulatory framework set out by SEBI aims to promote professionalism, transparency, and accountability in the conduct of mutual fund and its distributors. As regards the distribution of mutual fund products, there are some aspects that have come to SEBI's notice during the monitoring of complaints and during the inspection of AMCs that point out towards some sort of mis-selling by some of the distributors. Some of the issues which we have come across, I just want to highlight it because these are important, because these things has to be nipped in the bud, because in order to, enhance the trust of investors. Some of the issues which has come to our notice is that the market risk of investors are not appropriately disclosed. The most prominent complaint which we see is that the promotion of mutual fund schemes akin to fixed deposit instruments or a recurring deposit instruments. Distributors marketing a lump sum investments along with the income distribution cum capital withdrawal options or systemic withdrawal plans has been exact same as the fixed deposits, schemes which monthly interest incomes. So investor has to be made aware that the mutual fund is a market driven and it's not same or similar to the fixed deposits which we have there. So does not equate to interest income as on FDs. Since mis-selling and equating it to FDs caused some investors to lose trust in the industry where there is no regular income guaranteed through IDCW's plans. So another observation regarding showing the past NAVs as trend as a guaranteed for the future market performance. While most investors are up to date on this concept of NAV and performance of scheme being dependent on NAVs of the schemes, there are few instances where the past increase in NAV is shown as the proof of income that can be predicted or guaranteed to the investors. Such malpractices are not usually seen in good light by SEBI, and in turn, it results in AMCs bearing the cost of enforcement or administrative actions. So there are some concerns also from the distributor side as regarding the solicitation practices which some of the distributors are having. So we request you to be mindful of these practices. Some of the concerns which we have is like, MFD provide personalized recommendation based on the customer's risk profile, ensuring product suitability and appropriateness, and record such transaction as advisory transactions at each transaction level. However, it is to be noted that these can only be incidental advisory and should not be extended to the portfolio management services of the client. In certain instances, we have come across that some distributors are, taking over and doing the portfolio management services in garb of the advisory transactions. For investors intending to take decisions on their own and intending to only execute transactions through distributors portal, it is imperative that there is a complete ethical steps followed and there is a transparency for transactions by MFD and there is no unsolicited advices given to them. Another observation is the disclosure of conflict of interest. Now, many distributors like you also act as agents for other financial products and are also disclose the potential conflicts when the distributing group or associate products and maintain proper ethical standards. This is more so when selling market-linked insurance product, since nomenclature and advertising sounds very similar, but these products carry much higher exit loads, lock-in periods, conditions, and premium components. SEBI has received complaint on these products marketed toward them as a mutual fund products. So the idea is that, if these things are there, then ultimately the trust erosion will take place. That is the whole issue. So distributor needs to ensure. Another is the suitability of the product. Now, while the equity and hybrids are the most promoted products, but there are other products also in, like PSU funds or GSEC funds, which may be very similar to, suitable for the investor's need, like for people who have the low risk appetite or the senior citizens. One thing which has been pointed out is the digitalization. Now, if we see related item to this is digitalization is the data protection. Now, data protection is very important to us. With digital onboarding and facilitating of digital transactions through electronic platforms, it is imperative that the data protection of investor is given paramount importance by the distributors. Data collection from the investors and personal details like mobile phones or email IDs have to be handled with care. An effort should be taken to prevent the leakages to the third party. Any leakages of data results in loss of trust of investors. There has been instances where distributors have provided their own email IDs and phone numbers of family members' email ID or phone numbers instead of investor details. Here I just wanted to point out, there is a one curious case which has come to our notice that a particular distributor is the joint account holder for over 600 PAN, unique folios. So now the question comes up, these sort of practices put us in a bind that whether the distribution, it's only a one distributor which we have come across, but the instances are there. So my point is that we should be mindful of those facts. The email IDs and the phone numbers which are used are of the investors alone, not of the distributors. Now this has become even more important because the distributors have the responsibility to ensure that the mobile number and email IDs provided by investors are accessible only to them. Since usage of email and mobile of someone else may lead to misuse of OTPs and may leave a scope of fraudulent transactions. This is even more important in the today's digital age since OTPs play a vital role in ensuring secure access to only authorized person and can prevent fraudulent transactions to the great extent. Curbing and reporting these practices to regulator is an important step to maintain the trust of investors. Now, what is the downside if there is a mis-selling there? The ultimate problem is that if suppose there are certain regulations where there is no clarity on those. So sometimes there is an incentive for distributors per se, not majority of them, but some of the distributors, to gain the system for a temporary capital gains, some gains which they can achieve. What is the downside of that? The downside is the regulatory intervention will take place, and we have seen in recent past in some of the instances. To give you some examples, in spite of very clear guidelines which MFI has given, and which is to deter and avoid the incentivization of distributors and sub-distributors for garnering higher business by way of foreign trips or trips to tourist destination, such incentivization programs were still launched by certain distributors. Hence, steps were taken by both SEBI and MFI. Like they have said that stop the upfront commissions. It was again reiterated that the AMCs can pay only trail commissions. It was further clearly stated that the commission should only be paid in monetary terms. All trail commission is disclosed on AMC's website and in half-yearly common account statements, which again stresses on the transparency that is maintained within the mutual fund industry. Stoppages of additional TER beyond 30 cities. Since instructed AMCs have to stop, SEBI has instructed AMCs to stop commission for investment sourced beyond 30 cities because of evidence of certain inconsistencies and deficiencies in the manner of implementation of charging and additional expenses ratio of 30 basis point. These including splitting of transactions, churning of investments, and including switch transactions, of which contributed to stop this provision. There are other provisions also like stopping of transaction charges by multiple AMCs. Up to 100 rupees can be paid as transaction charges to distributors for rupees 10,000 and above investments. Although SEBI has not stopped the transaction charges, multiple AMCs have stopped the practice due to the misuse of provisions by splitting of transactions by mutual fund distributors. We urge you to operate in a fair, transparent, and ethical manner. The reason being, what the issue remains here is that unless we take care of these instances, regulatory interventions will always be taking place, and the cost of compliances and the burden of compliances always be on the rise. There are one issue which I wanted to highlight that, where the distributor help is required by the regulators. That is basically your active participation for the updating the KYC records. As distributors act as the contact for investors, especially more so in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. They are responsible for providing the awareness, updating the contact details and bank details of the investors. Even today, there are numerous legacy investor folios that do not have CBS bank details or do not have the adequate KYC, which has led to increase in unclaimed amount with the AMCs. We request you to reach out to such investors and ensure that they comply with the updated KYC norms. To conclude, let me say that the distributors act as the point of contact for a large number of retail investors. There is a big responsibility on you to ensure that there is a complete transparency with respect to all aspects of the scheme that can affect the investors. It is imperative that the distributors provide adequate information to investors. Further, in this digital age, onboarding, updating, and transactions are carried out through digital means, ensuring that there is no leakages or misuse of that leads to mistrust in the mutual fund industry. Distributors have the responsibility to act as first level of shield against the fraudulent practices in the market and ensure that the growth story of mutual fund and Indian economy is not sidestepped due to the loss of confidence of investors in systems in place. We all, SEBI as a regulator, AMCs as a product manufacturer, and distributors share the same goal: to reach out to the maximum number of investors and help them in achieving the financial goals through mutual fund products. We hope that the impressive numbers we normally talk about is just the start of many good things to come for the mutual fund industries. With that, let me conclude my remark, and thank you for your patient listening. Thank you.